Hello, Bayreuth young artists. I'm Edgar Gabriel. I'm a violinist from Chicago that teaches, performs, and composes music in the styles of jazz, rock, fiddle, classical, and much more. I created String Groove that teaches improvisation in these styles with a book, an app, ensemble pieces, videos, and workshops. I teach at Elmhurst and Harper Colleges. Meine Eltern sind aus Deutschland gekommen und ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Ich habe Familie in München und Augsburg. Wenn Sie Fragen haben, du kannst mit mir unterhalten auf E-Mail in English oder Deutsch. I started out playing classical music, and when I started to play jazz and rock and blues in high school, I needed to amplify my instrument, and there weren't a lot of options then. Now we have a lot of options, but back then I was just using a pickup on my violin, and then I was able to later on purchase a electric Zeta instrument. I love this violin, but it was missing the qualities of an acoustic violin. So I put a Baggs bridge on one of my violins here, and this works very well. I still use this all the time. Then I met violin maker Gary Rickman, who put it all together, and this is an electric violin that is all made by a violin maker and has all the great acoustic qualities of a violin and the electric properties so that you can crank this thing as loud as you can, and it sounds wonderful with effects. Now I have a video that I made a little while back that explains electric instruments and microphones and how to amplify your violin. I would like to add to that video today to show how to amplify and also input your instrument into a computer or a mobile device. That is so important these days because we are doing so much video conferencing and we're making all sorts of videos on the computer and with apps. So I want to show some of the basics on how to get the best possible sound you can. So let's get started. There are two types of cables that you want to get to know for both performing and recording. One of them is the guitar cable or the 1/4 inch cable, which would be used for your electric instrument. The other is the XLR cable, which is used for microphones. These are used in both situations and they look very, very different. Get yourself to know these two types of cables. Now, you do not want to use a built-in microphone for a mobile phone or a computer to record with if you don't have to. The reason why: these microphones are not made for music. They are made for speech and conversation, and they are used to cut out outside sounds, which make them very, very bad for a lot of music situations. So we need to hook up another microphone to the device or go directly in there with an electronic instrument. Okay, how do we do that? Well, one way to put a microphone into a device, the easiest way, is to get a USB microphone that plugs directly into the computer. They also make them for mobile devices. The other way, and the way I prefer, is to have an interface, and that is a device that goes between your computer or your mobile device and your instrument. And here I have one for my phone. This is called an iRig. Okay, it's an iRig, and this one's really great because it's the iRig Pro, because it has an input for an XLR and also a 1/4 inch. Very, very handy. In my computer, I have an interface here as well. It's got an input for an XLR and also for a 1/4 inch. Very handy. I can do a lot with that. I can plug in almost any device. Now, something about microphones that you want to know is that the type of microphones that you would use for a live on-stage performance and the type of microphone that you would use for a recording are completely different. For on stage, you would use something like this. This is a Shure SM58, great microphone. It is what we call a unidirectional mic. It only picks up what is directly aimed at it, and that is on purpose because on a live situation you don't want sounds going out there because they'll mix with the speakers and then you get feedback, that squealing sound. We don't want that. But in a recording situation, we want to pick up everything around there, so we want to use an omnidirectional microphone. I have a large collection of microphones, and this is one of my favorites here. This is an RCA ribbon microphone. It picks up everything. It's from the 1940s. Jascha Heifetz recorded on something similar to this. And so with these interfaces, I can plug in any type of microphone that I like to. All right, now, you do not have to use an electric instrument to have an electric sound when you record, okay? You can actually use an acoustic instrument. I'm going to show you that right now. So once you have your instrument in your computer, okay, then you can do some really, really cool things with it. I have GarageBand here, and I recorded my wonderful viola made by violin maker Sebastian Zenz in Munich. And I just have an acoustic viola, and I'm playing some blues here. Here you go. Now that's just a clean viola. Now I'm going to add a solo in. That's just another viola. And that was done after the fact. I just put some effects on that. Okay, effects that are built into there, distortion, delay, all that. We can do that live as well, and I'm going to do that in a second. I'm going to do that with a live recording device we call a looper, and let me show you this next. Okay, I'm going to improvise using my electric violin, looping pedal, and my effects. So the looping pedal will repeat what I do, and then the effects will change the sound of the violin. The effects do a very, very similar thing to what is built into the GarageBand that we were using earlier, the recording program. So, here we go. Tschüss.